This is the Barbados Today Evening News Update for Monday, November 11. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. The Frederick Smith Secondary School will reopen on Thursday and security will improve. Education Minister Santia Bradshaw made the revelation this evening after a series of meetings with key stakeholders to discuss the way forward after Friday's stabbing death of 16-year-old Tamario Holder by another student. Fifth form students will return to classes on Thursday and other students on Friday.
We have looked at not metal detectors in the strict sense of the word in terms of framed metal detectors, but we are exploring the hand detectors as an option, particularly for the return to school on Thursday. We want to ensure that the plant is safe. At this stage, while this tragedy has happened, I can give no assurances to the country that students may not have weapons on them next week. And therefore, it is important that the persons who have to work in the environment, as well as students who are not engaged in such activities in terms of possession of weapons, feel comfortable, and their parents must feel comfortable coming back to the Frederick Smith Secondary School to be able to resume classes.
Today, students, teachers and members of the ancillary staff received counseling. Minister Bradshaw said the incident was a tragedy of the highest order for the education system. She noted it has been a very difficult time and her ministry is making all efforts to ensure healing takes place.
On Wednesday, we are arranging for continued counseling at the institution for a number of the teachers who have been impacted. We have already put in place for the students at the institution for them to be able to attend for counseling since this incident has happened. And the ministry has provided a helpline for parents to be able to call in, but also to be able to come to the ministry where we have provided counseling support for a number of those students as well. Thankfully, a number of parents have already responded, and today we would have seen a steady flow of persons coming with their children, or in some cases coming to ask questions, as many children themselves are also very traumatized by the incident.
Principal of the Dighton Griffith Secondary School, Anthony Arlene, says he's saddened by the incident and called on all stakeholders to do more to ensure the island's youth stay on the right path.
It can never be a good day when we have the type of incident that we had last week. It also makes me feel that we as adults need to redouble our efforts, not just those within schools, but those within agencies, those within communities, those within homes, those within churches, because at the end of the day, it is really about our young people. And regardless of how we got here or who we think is to blame, each of us, wherever we are, have to play our part to try to do the best we can for these young people so they can see that there are alternatives and better ways.
In other news this Monday, teams from the Ministry of Transport and Works and the Ministry of Home Affairs will be on the ground in St. Lucie this week to clear roadways after sections of the parish were affected by torrential rains. Word of this from MP Peter Phillips, who says Saturday's flooding could have been 10 times worse if not for the drainage work carried out a week ago. He told Barbados Today that he will be reaching out to the Welfare Department and other government agencies to lend assistance to those who lost household items and other possessions. In sports, opener Shea Hope struck an unbeaten century as the West Indies beat Afghanistan by 5 wickets in the third one-day international in India to complete a 3-0 sweep on Monday. Hope made 109 and built crucial partnerships, including an unbeaten 71-run stand with Royston Chase, 42 not out, to anchor the West Indies' chase of 250 with 8 balls to spare.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Root Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, a bill for the decriminalization of marijuana is set to go before Cabinet this week. The AG says one thing the Cabinet will examine is getting those charged with the possession of small amounts of marijuana out of the criminal system. More in this report from Jewel Brown of TV6 News.
Attorney General Paris Al-Rawi used the opportunity at the PNM's annual convention and launch of its local government campaign to give an update on a controversial piece of legislation which is now on the front burner and engaging the attention of the national community. The convention saw the Agriculture Minister in a new role as broadcast host for a paid political broadcast.
What can you say to the population in relation to cannabis is something that people are interested in?
I spent much of this morning finalizing the final positions on that law. That law will be taken to Cabinet hopefully during the course of this week, where we can treat with how we manage the offense of dangerous drugs, marijuana itself, its importation, its management, expunging records, because there are people that have offenses for very small quantities. They need to be out of the system.
The AG said this would benefit the justice system overall.
A simple thing like decriminalizing marijuana results in a 76% drop in the forensics workload, and that is to give space and time for the more serious matters. So it's very good, very progressive law. I ask you to stay tuned and pay attention to the process as we move ahead in the next week or so in center staging that particular reform.
And on the international scene, Bolivia's President Evo Morales resigned Sunday, shortly after the head of the nation's electoral tribunal stepped down when allegations of irregularities with the presidential vote held last month sparked protests. A large crowd that formed in the capital's main square rejoiced, some crying tears of joy. Vice President Alvaro Garcia Linier has also left office. That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media, in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.